Millionaire marries poor woman when he sees her leg. Let's see why. A millionaire decided to take his relationship with a poor woman to the next level after he discovered that she kept a secret similar to his dad's. Before the video starts, please subscribe to join our community. Your support helps us grow, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with our latest content. John was raised by his father, Jim. However, his relationship with his father was different from the relationship between other kids and their fathers. This was because his father had an incurable disability that left him unable to cater to himself. John's mother, Sarah, had passed away when he was a teenager. Sarah used to be the one who cared for Jim, but after her demise, John had to take up the responsibility. Unfortunately, this meant he had to give up a lot of things while other children had fun at the playground. John remained at home with his father to look after him. As a result, he could not attend any school functions, and neither did he get to spend time at parties. John did not very much mind at first, but the older he got, the more tired he became of constantly caring for his father. In addition, he had developed an unhealthy disdain for hospitals because he had spent a lot of time there with his father, who often had to go for medical checkups. Sometimes John would get angry at his father because he would sometimes interrupt his sleep in the middle of the night to ask for something, and other times John would get mad that his father's case was not getting any better. John itched to get out in the world and live his life, but his father's disability prevented him. He dreamed of growing up and getting rid of his father one day, so he would finally get some breathing space. John worked very hard, and it paid off when he received a scholarship to study outside his town. He gladly took the opportunity and left his father in the care of his neighbors. He never looked back again, and he grew to become the CEO of an IT company on the leading edge of technology. Thanks to his job, he was able to travel the world, attending conferences and leadership workshops where he taught others to make millions. A lot of people admired John because of his easy charisma, but nobody knew he had a father with disability he left behind in his small town. One day, John visited his father, and after realizing that the neighbors had given up on caring for him, moved him to a room in the mansion he lived in. His father's health had deteriorated badly. At least now I can hire caregivers to look after him, he thought to himself. All the while, John sought a wife for himself. It was the only thing he believed was left for him to do to fulfill his dreams, and he had been searching for years. Most women he met were just interested in his money, so he never took them very seriously. But one day he met a woman named Michelle and fell in love with her. She was a gentle and beautiful woman who was also modest to a fault. She wore long skirts and often avoided having physical contact. And unlike the women he was used to, she did not jump at his every command, which only made her more attractive to him. Michelle was poor, but unlike other women, she did not complain about it, in hopes he would magically help her problems go away. In fact, she often avoided his offers to help. One day, he noticed her phone was giving her issues and offered to get her a new one. "What's wrong with your cell?" he asked her that day while they were enjoying a picnic. "It fell in the water while I was doing the laundry, and it has been acting up ever since," she reluctantly told him. "Can I get you a new one?" John asked. "Oh, never mind. I can always manage till I can afford a new one." "I'm sure you have better things to spend your money on," she told him. Because she refused, John took it upon himself to get her the latest model and surprised her with it. But even at that, she tried to refuse it. It endeared her to him, and for the first time, he felt he had found the woman he would marry. He was very happy, but that happiness was threatened one day when John invited Michelle to his house. He wanted to treat her to a nice romantic meal, after which he planned to propose to her. That day, he drove his father to a park and deposited him there because he did not want Michelle to meet him. He was still very ashamed of the man. However, as Michelle drove past the park on her way to John's home, as fate would have it, she caught sight of Jim, who looked very much like John. She thought it was him but could not be sure, so she got out of her car and moved closer to him. "John?" she called. The man looked up at her and smiled lazily. "I'm not John," he said, "but I'm his father." His words shocked Michelle, but she could see the resemblance, so she believed him. However, he looked very unhappy, so she decided to take him with her when she continued on her way to John's house. When John opened the door, he was shocked to see his future wife with his father. I saw your father at a park. She said he was cold, so I brought him home to you so he could rest. I assume you took him there so he could spend time outside. What? John was flabbergasted. I only forced my dad to leave because I was expecting you to come, and I didn't want you to see him. Why? Michelle asked. Because of his disability? Before John could answer, Michelle lifted up her dress to reveal a prosthetic leg. Will you kick me out like your dad? She asked. John had shock written all over his face. What? Why did you hide this from me all this time? He asked. But Michelle didn't give him an answer. Instead, she walked out on him. After she left, John started to think, wondering what else she could have been hiding from him. He considered breaking up with her. That night, he couldn't sleep, and in the morning, he made a decision. He loved Michelle, regardless of her disability. John also realized he could have done better with his dad, and he apologized. The following day, father and son made their way to Michelle's house, where he proposed to her. They had their wedding some months later, and they all lived happily ever after. What can we learn from this story? Good qualities are more important than good looks. It is more important to have good qualities than to look good. John learned this when he realized Michelle had a disability like his father. He was not about to let her go just because of her outward flaws, because he knew she was the perfect woman otherwise. Don't be materialistic. John was attracted to Michelle because she stood out from all the women he had ever been with. She did not care about his materialistic wealth, and she did not try to use her beauty to manipulate him into giving her money. In the end, it worked out for her, because that was just what John had been looking for.